Hello everyone, today we are going to create a voice-to-text parser in Android using Jetpack Compose. So let's start by creating our voice-to-text parser, voice-to-text parser that will inherit the recognition listener, and let's implement the functions. Option enter on Mac, and I think it's Alt enter on Windows. Let's select all of these. And let's also create two functions that we'll use later. Start listening, that will have a language code that will be a string, and can stop listening. Oops, listening. Now we need to create our voice to text parser state, so let's create it down here. Data class voice to text state, or let's add parser state. And now let's add spoken text. This will be a string. Is speaking. This will be a boolean. Default is false, and error in case we encounter some errors. Now let's create our state. So private val state equals mutable state flow of voice to text parser state. And now we can create the state that will be a state flow. And now let's create the recognizer that will be a speech recognizer that creates speech recognizer. And now we need to pass the app. So let's add it into the constructor, private val app application, and now let's add this here. Let's start by implementing the start listening. So we need to clear the state first. Voice to text parser state, and now we can check if the speech recognition is available, and let's negate this. And if it's not available, let's show an error. it.copy error recognition is not available. Now let's create the intent that will perform the voice to text. So recognizer intent action recognize speech dot apply, and now let's put some extra arguments. Intent recognizer intent extra language model, and now we add recognizer intent free model form. So this will be a free speech, not a search speech. Also we need to specify the language. Recognizer intent extra language language code. Now let's add the recognition listener. Set recognition listener, and it will be this. Now let's start listening. So recognizer start listening, and we pass the intent from above. Now we also need to update the state, so it will say that is speaking is true. And now let's start by implementing the stop listening, and this will be a simple function. State.update it.copy, the is speaking is false, and the recognizer will be .stop listening. Already for speech, it will clear the errors. So it.copy error equals null. The on beginning of speech, we don't need this, so it will be a unit. We don't need this too. This will be on unit 2 because we don't need it. Unit. And on end of speech, we say say.update it.copy is speaking false. On end of speech, we just say that is speaking is false. On error function, we check if the error is a client error, so speech recognizer error client, and if it's an error client, we return. Otherwise, we update the state with the error, so error equals error, and we display the error code. On results, we just return the spoken text, so results and get string array list, speech recognizer, results recognition. We get the first results, get or null, and we check if the results aren't null, and let's update the state.update it.copy. The spoken text is the result, and we don't need the onPartial results and the onEvent. And let's assign unit for them. Now let's go to the build.gradle and paste this dependency. This will give us the microphone icon, and let's sync the project. Now we can go into the manifest and add the uses permission to record audio. And now let's close this and go to the main activity. Now let's create our voice to text parser. So voice to text parser equals not equals by lazy, and voice to text parser application, and we are using by lazy because this will wait until the application is available to create the voice to text parser. Now let's create our var can record. This will be a by remember mutable state of false, and let's import this. Now let's create the record audio launcher. This will be a remember activity, launcher activity for result, and the contract will be activity result contracts dot request permission, and it will have our result is granted, and we are assigned the can record with it. Now let's have a launch effect block, and the key is the record audio launcher. And let's say record audio launcher dot launch, and let's say the manifest from the Android permission and record audio. Now we can start to create the scaffold and get the padding from it, and assign the padding to the padding modifier from the column. So modifier dot padding, the padding from the scaffold. Let's say filmmax sides before and add some 20 dp padding, and let's import the dp. Also let's opt in for the scaffold, and let's say vertical arrangement dot center, and horizontal alignment dot center vertically, horizontally, sorry. Now we can create an animated content. This will animate the content whenever it changes, the state changes. And let's get the state. So state by voice to text parser state collect as state. And now we can access the is speaking, and let's opt in for this too. Main activity is speaking, and let's check if is speaking. We want to display the text that shows speaking ... and else we want to show the state.spoken text, and if it's empty we want to say click on mic to record audio. And now we can create the floating action button. So floating action button will be a floating action button, of course, and let's implement the onClick function. If state is speaking, we want to stop the speaking at the listening, so voice to text parser, stop listening. Otherwise we want to start listening, so start listening, and the default code is English. Let's create an animated content block inside of the floating action button. So state that if he's speaking, and we get the speaking, and if he's speaking, we want to display an icon icons.rounded.stop. So we want to display the stop icon if he's speaking. Otherwise, let's copy this and paste and change the icon to mic. And I think everything is okay, and let's run the app and see how it looks. So we need to press while using the app, and let's record the audio. This is a test. As you can see, it works perfectly. And if you like this video, follow me for more content like this, and I also have a blog on which I post weekly, so make sure to follow me on it too.